Hi everybody, welcome to this week's UK Policy Podcast. The purpose of this week is to just go over some issues that we've been having. From here on out, we're going to start doing all these podcasts in LMS, and they will be accompanied with LMS assessments, usually about 8 to 10 questions for each one. So make sure that you are on top of the updates. You will have a separate folder just for the UK queue, and just like the US queue, we will be tracking to make sure that everyone is completing them on time, so be sure to follow along. This week's podcast is going to be super exciting because we have a very special guest who you will find out who it is. But this person is in the queue, is one of the top performers, and will be your fearless leader for this week's podcast. So good luck, have fun, and enjoy the podcast.
Hey guys, my name is Clarissa. I'm actually going to be the one going over the jobs that were missed. So there are a few that we're going to be going over, and then we're also going to be going over a few SOP updates that are active as of this Monday. So that we make sure we're all on the same page when it comes to the UK queue. So first things first, guys, we're going to be going over the SOP updates that just happened this Monday on the 24th. So the first one is going to be position in office. So before, I know we were tagging only heads of state for foreign politicians, but as of Monday, we are now tagging all politicians. So governors, senators from other places, all foreign politicians are being tagged now. Now, another thing to look out for is there's a lot of members of the European Parliament, so make sure you guys are knowing which ones are UK and which ones are non-UK, because those will still be tagged as foreign politicians if they're outside of the UK and the European Parliament.
Yep, it's really important to keep in mind. I know at one point the directive was for politicians, or for foreign politicians, was that we were only tagging for heads of state, but like Larissa said, we're going to be starting to tag foreign politicians at all levels. So someone like Donald Trump, head of state, gets tagged, but someone like Ted Cruz or Beto O'Rourke from Texas will now be tagged for foreign politicians as well. They no longer have to be heads of state for them to be tagged as foreign politician. We just have to establish that they are actually a politician, okay? For the second update for this week, again effective the 24th of this week, will be on express advocacy. And I don't think this is so much as an update as it is just a clarification. But remember, although we do tag now for foreign politicians at all levels, we are only going to tag for express advocacy for UK politicians. And the SOP specifically states when to tag for express advocacy, advocacy for or against a UK politician or a UK political party. So that is going to be or remain specific just to the UK politicians or parties, but we will go ahead and tag for image or name for foreign politicians when we see those present. Okay? That's pretty much it, right, for the big changes for the SOP. There wasn't anything huge. The policy call did kind of clarify those things for us. But again, we're going to continue to work with Facebook week by week to see what it is that they have to say. Moving forward, we're going to jump into the top 10 missed jobs. They should appear on your screen in a little bit, but we're going to have the quick follow along to show you what kind of jobs we're missing, and we'll explain why we're missing them and what we need to do to make sure that we do not. Clarissa, take it away.
All right, so the first one that we are missing a lot is going to be this one right here. So it states the Tory Reform Group. Tory alone should have been an indication that it possibly could be a political party. But the biggest indicator on this job specifically would be the page category, where it actually says political organization. So we weren't tagging for political party, but it is clearly a political party, with the page category being a huge indicator. So make sure that we're actually reading it, taking your time, actually going through the material, making sure that everything is right.
Yep. Make sure to keep in mind too that don't assume the political organization is going to be an automatic tag, just like we don't assume that the political candidate will be an automatic tag on Facebook landing pages, but it always will be a very strong indicator. If you wanted to, further reaffirm that kind of idea that you're thinking, you can look at, again, the bottom part of the Facebook landing page, reading the title and the blurb, as well as looking at the ad preview, and it just kind of gives more context that it is a political party. I know this specific page is a little bare, there's not really much going on, there isn't much information there, but there are some politicians' names listed along with that group in the mission statement that can kind of help us out to determine what we're looking at or what's going on, so we can go ahead and tag for political party. For this next job, just a quick little thing. We're going to keep in mind that this is an offsite landing page, and offsite landing pages, we have to make sure that we don't skip ahead to everything, right? The biggest problem on offsite landing pages is that we read 1, 2, maybe 3 paragraphs of the page, and we decide that there's no political context, and then we run away and on to the next job, right? Everyone gets into the habit, no on everything, and then they say that they're done. But this is a great example of a job where you have to make sure that you read anything, because in the last paragraph is where we have our tag.
So again, make sure you guys are reading the whole offsite landing page. I know it can be kind of annoying when it's really long. Just make sure you guys are reading the whole page, because it could be the last sentence of the page, or even maybe the small print at the bottom of the page. In this case, it was just the last paragraph of the page where it mentions the counselor. So make sure you guys are reading the whole offsite landing page. All right, so this next job, the reason why a lot of us missed this one is because we did tag for legislation on this one, but it is in the bio of the Facebook landing page. So the SOP specifically states that whenever you're tagging for or tagging on a Facebook landing page, the only things you look for is title, blurb, and description. Don't look at the bio, the mission, awards, etc. So that's the reason why we missed that one, is because Bank Act was in the bio.
Yeah, so make sure that we're not over tagging on things. It does say the part where it says, I lost it already.
It was the Active Travel Act.
Yeah, the Active Travel Act, right? Where he led the campaign for the world's first Active Travel Act, and although that's a great thing to keep in mind, it is in the bio section. So we're not going to tag for anything in the bio section. Make sure that you review the component level SOP, and it does say, like Clarissa said, just title, blurb, and description. Cool. For the next job, job number 4, again, this is going to be another one of those offset landing pages where you don't skip ahead. Just because you don't see anything that looks political doesn't mean that it's not there.
Again, to reiterate, it's very important that you guys are reading the whole offsite landing page. Again, a lot of people are only reading the first couple paragraphs, but it is very important that you read the whole thing so that you would see that it is tagged for legislation.
Yep, and there's legislation mentioned right down here towards the end, the 1928 Bank Act. Now, are we tagging for legislation mention or for legislation with advocacy?
The only thing we're tagging for is the mention of the legislation.
Good. For the next one, we'll be going back over here on to number 5. Another offsite landing page. Woo-hoo. I hate offsite landing pages.
They're the worst. So number 5, let's see. So with this job specifically, shows we should have tagged candidate name based on the mention of British Defense Secretary. Let's see where that's at.
Gavin Williamson. Not eyebrows. Eyebrows on fleek, but not for what we're looking for.
Alright, so right here in the first paragraph, it does mention British Defense Secretary Gavin Williamson. That would be tagged for a politician. So make sure you guys are reading really carefully.
Good. Another thing too to point out is, as of the recording of this podcast, at the time we were not tagging for foreign politicians, because like we said in the beginning, we're only tagging for heads of state, or we were only tagging for heads of state. But moving forward from now on, when you'll see this, we will tag for all types of foreign politicians. So the guy right before, Gavin Williamson, Australian Defence Industry Minister Christopher Pyne, we shouldn't have tagged for him as politician, which we didn't. Moving forward, we now will tag for him as well. So make sure that we tag both British Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson as a domestic UK politician, and then the Australian guy as a foreign politician.
Alright. And another offsite landing page.
It's always the offsite landing pages that are wrong.
So this one was first sentence.
So on this page, when you first arrive to the page, a lot of people get paywalled. They're told that they have to sign up to get full access, and if you scroll down, it actually even says sign up or enter your information here to read the rest of the article, right? So again, I don't know exactly what everyone did on this page, But what we're thinking is that they saw this and they immediately thought they could just exit the page and walk away, that there would be nothing, right? But what does it say in the first sentence, in the first paragraph, or the only part of the page that you can actually read?
Article 50.
Article 50, god damn it. So tag it for legislation mentioned.
Let's see. All right.
That's it. That's the only thing on that job.
Next one. Another offsite landing page. Let's see. So on this one, we tagged for foreign politician image. Now there is mention of foreign politician names, but with this one here, I think what happened on this one is that we read that he was, where is it? We read that he was the president for the Center for China Analysis and Strategy, which is not, it's not anything.
Yeah, I think we saw this and we got excited because we saw president. We automatically assumed that meant politician. But the rest of the offsite landing page goes on to describe that he's the president of the organization or the center, but not necessarily any sort of political office or have any sort of political consequence. So again, take your time, read through everything. Don't just assume president automatically gets tagged, because the rest of the page tells you that it's of the organization and there's no actual political office. So no candidate image. There is candidate name though. For the Chinese leader Xi Jinping, and then some other names if you go on to the rest of the article. No one missed those ones. The only missed tag on this one was the over tag for a candidate image.
Okay, so this one shows, so this one should have been tagged for a foreign candidate. It's actually the first sentence has the name for the New Zealand Prime Minister. With this one, really it's just reading the material, just being careful and actually going through it. But this one was actually on the first sentence where it had the name.
Jacinda Ardern, New Zealand Prime Minister. There's no reason we should be missing that tag. If you wanted to confirm with the ad preview, it gives you enough context to tell you that the person's name is actually Jacinda Ardern. So we have candidate name along with that position, so we can tag her for politician, or in this case, foreign politician.
All right, so in this job in particular, this one was missed for a political party. It was one of the last sentences on the body, so just make sure you guys are reading the full thing. I know on these, a lot of people only read the first couple of words. They'll skim through them because it's not that much to read. But just be very careful. Make sure you're reading the whole thing because it is on the third to last sentence on the actual body.
Again, Populist Party is one of those ones that is in your SOP, right? When it comes to the UKQ. So it shouldn't be anything that you miss. But even then, the context should tell you on its own that it would be something that we could tag for a political party.
I believe on this one, let's see. So it may not be on the SOP, but we do have to remember that the SOP is not an exhausted list.
We'll pull it up right now. Yeah, so looking at it right now, sample keywords for political parties, however, just having them does not imply express advocacy. Please note that this is not an exhaustive list. It's not necessarily on here, but we do know what populist means just by context, and in the context of that article when it says populist party, it's not an exhaustive list. It seems like a legitimate political party. The rest of the context of the page tells you that it is a political party, so we're going to tag that for a political party.
All right, and the last one. So this one wasn't tagged for foreign political party. This one should not have been missed because of the fact that the foreign political party is actually highlighted. It's the GOP party. So the Grand Old Party was what we should have tagged for foreign political party.
And I think this one just kind of comes with the trouble again too. There's been a lot of back and forth between do we tag domestic parties, do we, or foreign political parties, do we or do we not? Now we know with a little bit more explanation, with a little bit of a clearer directive, we are going to tag for political parties of all kinds, both foreign and domestic. We'll just be asked to make that distinction, right? So if it's anything outside of the UK, we'll tag that as foreign. The GOP is pretty familiar to us, so we know to tag that for foreign political party. Okay?
And then one more thing to remember when it is foreign political party, that we're not tagging for logos. Only UK logos are the ones that we are tagging for. So just remember that.
Good job. And that pretty much finishes it up for this week. Again, it seems like the big theme here really is back and forth between directives, a little bit of unclear opinions or kind of ideas of what we should. Hopefully we kind of cleared some of those things up for you. And then again, almost half of these jobs were offsite landing pages. So what do we learn when it comes to offsite landing pages?
Read the whole thing.
Read the whole thing.
Read the whole thing.
Again, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully this will be able to clear up some questions for you guys and kind of answer a lot of the problems that you guys were having before. Just like always, be sure to take your time, read through everything. We will post this podcast only in LMS. I'll post a reminder in SRT, but we'll probably not keep it in SRT anymore just because there's a lot of material that will remain exclusive to LMS. There will be an assessment after this. Make sure that you complete the assessment. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye. Have a good night.